Hello and welcome back to the Mon Motors channel, and today we have been blessed with the keys for this, the new ID.4. So before we take the ID.4 out for a drive, let's have a look around. And as you can see at the front, headlight design very similar to that of the ID.3, except we got this light bar that's running all the way for the centre of the dashboard here. And you'll note, no big grills at the front, just to remind you again, it's an electric vehicle. But let's come and have a look down the side, shall we? Okay, so down the side profile of the ID.4, it's all about aerodynamics with this vehicle. Of course, less aerodynamics, less drag, further range, which also results in a slightly quieter cabin, which is pretty good. So on the first edition, we get lots of first edition badges, plus 20-inch alloys as standards, which are aerodynamically designed to channel the air down the side of the vehicle, again to help with that drag coefficient. Contrast black mirrors as we get with the first edition model as well. And what's really quite unique is actually these door handles are completely flat. So it's just a small little push button underneath that you push to open the door. The job's The charge port is located at the rear driver's side, and in here you see that we've got Type 2 with DC charger, which allows you to rapid charge the vehicle up as well. So on a 125 kilowatt charger you can get to 200 miles in about 30 minutes. And at the rear of the ID.4 we've got this very nice sleek design, white lettering here, and the light bar running all the way through the rear as we've seen at the front. In the boot we have 543 litres of boot space, which is pretty good for the most SUVs in this market, and a little reversing camera, which comes standard with the first edition. One thing I wasn't sure about when I heard about the ID.4 was the seat colour choice. So we have this grey suede and leather bolstering on the seats. There's also brown leather in the door cards as well. But actually, it's quite nice. The fabrics feel incredibly soft to touch. We got this little ID stitching on the seat as well. And apparently, so Volkswagen say, that these seats have been developed with the German back healthcare program, something or another, so you shouldn't have an aching back from driving this. Pretty good. So the ID.4 is roughly about the size of a Tiguan, however the wheel span is a bit bigger, which means we've got extra leg room in the rear for taller passengers, and with it being an electric vehicle and all the batteries underneath the car floor, there's absolutely no transmission tunnel, so plenty of room for even your lanky friends. So inside the cabin of the ID.4, we have oodles amounts of space. The centre console here, this sort of floating design, really open and spacious, which is great. We've also got two USB-C sockets at the front here, and two in the back as well, which is quite handy. So if you want to charge up your phone, or you've got little ones in the back with their little devices and so forth, that's absolutely fab. Dashboard-wise, the ID.4, very similar to the ID.3, comes with either a 10 or 12-inch infotainment screen, and the steering wheel buttons and the screen you get here, all very similar to what you would have seen in the ID.3. A few little electric quirks that you get, so you've got the gear selected at the top, which you twist and turn, and we've also have all these touch-sensitive buttons around the dashboard. Okay. The time has now come to get my first drive in the new ID.4. So it's just a little start-stop button down the side. And a bit like the ID.3, which is a little bit funky, you just twist this little gear selector at the top, and then the car is ready to go. So it's a nice big green ready on the dashboard. We simply just press the accelerator, and we're on the move. So one of the first things I note when driving the ID.4 is that it is very quiet inside. You can understand with the aerodynamics that's in play with the vehicle to keep away a lot of that wind noise. Get a little bit of tyre roar, which is to be expected with 20-inch alloys, but generally quite a comfortable place to be. When you are driving at slower speeds, you do get the ID noise. It's like a little whooshing noise that the car makes to alert pedestrians about your intended approach. However, outside of that, once you've gone up into sort of 30 miles an hour, that sound good disappears, and it's getting rather quite quiet in the cabin. Generally, power-wise, it's pretty decent from the vehicle. It's a 77 kilowatt battery on here, which is the same you get in the top end of the ID.3 range. Doesn't get the same range as the ID.3, naturally, because this is a bigger car. But at the moment, looking at the trip computer here, we've got about 333 miles since this being fully charged. So we'll see how we get on with that one. and also get a lot of the infotainment system working quite seamlessly while I'm driving, and a lot of the assistance systems as well. So I got the lane keeping active on the vehicle, which keeps me nice and true so I don't stray over those white lines. This type of car will typically spend most of its time in an urban environment, very much like the town centre here in Merthyr. And acceleration wise is pretty good. It's 0 to 60 in about 8.6 seconds, give or take, which is not blazingly fast compared to some other electric EVs on the market. However, what the ID.4 is able to do is to deliver all of that power straight away. There's zero lag, of course. And being rear wheel drive, it's all geared towards having a lot more grip, which is rather useful driving around town. So a few more little tech features for you within the ID.4 is that it's 204 brake horsepower with 320 newton meters of torque. In real world, you're probably not going to really notice that because the speed limit of the car is 100 miles an hour anyway. However, from a quick jerk from a standing start, it's actually rather surprising. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a snippet of what I mean. So I just push the button, and just as quick as a flash, we're up and going, which is great news. And of course, with the first edition, anything with Volkswagen when they launched their first editions is absolutely loaded with safety tech. So some of the things to mention, we have a centre airbag fitted to this model as well, which is quite useful. So should you be unfortunate enough to be involved in an accident, you will then have an airbag deployed in the centre of the car so you and your passenger don't butt heads. So we've been driving around town and on dual carriageways around Merthyr now for some time in the ID.4, and it's everything you expect it to be from this size of SUV. It's quite comfortable, it's very refined, and you soon quickly forget that it's an electric vehicle. But with the batteries being so low in the car, with a lower centre of gravity, I'm interested to see what it'd be like on a Welsh B road. And we so happen to be next to some rather nice ones here on the edge of Merthyr. So we're heading up into the Brecon Beacons National Park to find out what she's like when we open it up a little bit. So here we are, we're out in the beautiful Welsh countryside. The sun is shining, the conditions couldn't be any better. And first impressions of the ID.4 on these types of roads is actually pretty good. The suspension dampens a lot of the bumps in the road, which is quite nice. So I'm not going to feel like I'm going to need back surgery afterwards, which you get in some other models. And of course, with the lower centre of gravity, the turning and acceleration is spot on. Would it outperform a Golf GTR on these types of roads? Absolutely not. It's not built for this. It's tend to be more of a family car. But to be honest with you, what I think the ideal thing for a car on these types of roads is maybe just to slow it down, relax a little bit, use the quietness to take in the beautiful scenery that's around us, and just enjoy the drive, as opposed to trying to set a new world rally record. So altogether, I think the ID.4 is a pretty cool car. So here we have it, the ID.4, Volkswagen's first full electric SUV, and I must say, I'm pretty impressed. First appearances, when you look at it, you think it's bigger than you wouldn't expect it to be as big as it is, but all around a fantastic and comfortable drive, and you can see why this is a great and important car for Volkswagen. But altogether, I want to give a big thank you to Capital Volkswagen for lending us this today. Of course, you can get in touch with the guys on the details below. And if you like this video and you'd like to see more, don't forget to hit the notification bell, subscribe, and of course, give us the thumbs up if you like the video. But it's a bit cold now, so I'm going to head back inside. ID.4, put the heated seats on.